welcome back to the Adoption Squad. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm Annie.
So just to kind of recap a few things, last week we did some listener letters, and that was fun, hearing from people and their stories. I also have to congratulate Yael Adler. A week ago on Super Bowl Sunday, she gave birth to a baby boy.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So I just saw that a couple of days ago and went, oh, I just want to make mention of that for her. So congratulations to you and your family. Anything else that you wanted to bring up before we do the deep dive back in?
No, I don't think there's anything. Nope. Let's just deep dive into your search.
Yeah. So it's been a while since we talked about it, but the last that we talked about my search was basically my surrender and my adoption at 2 weeks old into this family. And it was revealed in my non-identifying information that the child that they were discussing was actually born in 1966. So it was clear that I had an older sibling and, female. So from here, it's basically decided, okay, the mother, we had already pursued her, and she wasn't willing to have any sort of connection.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, okay, well, let's see what the older sibling has to say,
Right.
And then
right.
in my head, I'm going, does the older sibling know they're adopted? Does the older sibling?
Right.
Yeah. So all these questions, like, am I going to disturb somebody's life?
Right.
Do they want to be found? So, there's always those questions.
Mm-hmm.
But we decided, okay,
who's we?
Sorry. We being, myself, my former brother-in-law.
Okay.
And he was married to my sister, who also has her own adoption story. So,
right. He's the one who helped you investigate.
Yes.
Yes.
So he was very much into my search, and it was almost like, what do I want to say? Not an addiction, but in a way for him, it was just this
obsession.
Yeah.
Obsession.
Like, I have to solve this case.
Right.
So luckily for me, he put together this beautiful book so that I can go back and look at each step of the way of this journey. And so, I mean, I'm seeing things here like birth indexes and things like that, and color coded tabs. And
wow.
Right. So I might have to let you look at this sometime.
Absolutely.
So the timeline, we're basically in April of 1999 at this point. So, I'm in my 20s, working my retail job, kind of being free and living in my first apartment, I think, first or second apartment. And everything was just kind of exciting, hearing new pieces of information almost daily.
Wow.
So on my end, I just had to wait because I didn't really know how to do any sort of a search. The internet was just kind of a thing. It wasn't really, not everybody had it. And I know.
Not all the databases were there either to search.
So luckily, my brother-in-law, he had a few more resources. He actually went to the town where my birth mother lived, at least in growing up, and found her yearbook. And made copies of the pages that were relevant to her and actually showed them to me.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first time, I had a photo of this woman, and she was pretty accomplished in high school, where
Mm-hmm.
I was the polar opposite.
Well, was this before you found her? He
Yeah,
had the pictures of her? Okay.
yes. So I knew that my brother-in-law was going to be able to find basically anybody involved in this
Right.
story. He was just, very dedicated. So at this point, he decided, well, we're dealing with the same hospital. So he submitted a request to see the birth index for the day in question in 1966. And they did supply it to him. So what he did was he was able to uncover which of these children born on that date were actually adopted out, and which, because not all of them were adopted out, some of them did
Oh.
stay with their birth mothers,
Oh, okay.
right? So,
Okay. So it was a place for unwed mothers.
correct,
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
right, exactly. So, um, when he did that search, he was able to kind of pinpoint a, a few on that list from that date, and basically narrowed it down to just a few people, or a few babies, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, from there, it really just kind of was a process of elimination.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what he told me was, okay, it's between these two people. Um,
Which one do you want it to be?
right. So said, if it's this one,
Mm-hmm.
then she lives, somewhere far away, and it might be a little more difficult. But if it's the other one, then she grew up right here in the same town as you,
Mm-hmm.
and was adopted by this family here in town, um, and actually went to one of the rivaling high schools.
So when you found that out, what went through your mind?
I just kind of went, wouldn't that be funny if it was her?
Right, the one that lives close by.
Right.
Yeah.
So he couldn't really tell anything until he got the birth certificates back. But he said, okay, I'm still going to go and see if I can get the high school yearbook for the possible
Oh, okay.
sister,
Yep.
because it would be in the library.
Sure.
So he just walked in, and he had a name, and did the same thing he did with the birth mother,
Mm-hmm.
where he made the copies. And here in the book that I have, he says that he cannot see any obvious relationship with me or the birth
Mm-hmm.
mother from the picture, but that it's black and white, not great quality, but that all of us have similar, myself, this possible sister, and the mother, all three of us would have had similar heights and weights,
Hmm.
brown hair,
Mm-hmm.
and blue or green eyes.
Hmm.
So he kind of had a feeling, though, it seems like if they were both born at the same hospital and they both went through the same um, adoption agency, this could be a very possible match. So he made a stop at the probate court and take a look into some records for this possible sister's family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it turns out that this baby girl was placed for adoption by that same agency into this family, and this was their second adopted child. So they
Okay.
had adopted an older sibling. So
Hmm.
she would have been the youngest of two.
So wait, they adopted her older sister or just another child?
Another child,
Another, no relation.
no relation.
Okay. Okay.
So this family ended up having two adopted children in
Hmm.
their home.
Hmm.
And as it turns out, that child would be a boy. So she had an older brother in her house.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Um, from there, it gets a little complicated because there's still some other searching going on at the time,
Hmm. Hmm.
trying to figure out if, okay, if this is the birth sister,
Sure.
do they both have the same father?
Right. Yeah.
So that was definitely a question. Um, I'm not going to touch upon the birth father part yet, and how that comes about because that is a story within itself. But as far as finding the sister, the birth certificates came back and it did seem to match all all of the information that we had.
Okay.
So from here, I was almost left out of this part
Hmm.
completely. So here you have the sister I grew up with,
Hmm.
um, her husband who was doing all the searching, and the two of them really just kind of dropped everything in their lives and became involved in my story.
Hmm.
And what I mean is they found out that my sister, first of all, um, she had an expired driver's license um, from our town and was just, they didn't know if she still lived in the area or if she'd moved away, but
Oh.
that her driver's license was expired.
Oh gosh.
Yes. Her brother, like we said, she had a
Hmm.
brother. He was listed as living in town.
Okay.
So one night I got a phone call, and I had a cell phone at the time. It was
Hmm.
gigantic. You know, it was one of those early cell
Right.
phones that, you had to pull the antenna up and you could only talk for a couple minutes, um, and, have to walk around and get a signal.
Hmm.
So my sister that I grew up with and her husband decided to pay my biological sister's brother a visit at his home. This is good.
Okay.
Okay, so adoptees can probably follow this story because there's always so many people. But so my sister walks up to this guy's house. He answers the door and she says, "Hi, you don't know me, but I think that my sister and your sister are sisters."
And he's like, "Well, I'm adopted, so I can follow this."
Right.
If he knew he was adopted. Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah. Um, so he stands there for a second, processing this sentence. I think my sister and your sister are sisters.
Right.
And he kind of looks at her with this bewildered look and he says, "Okay." And it's revealed that the birth mother's last name was said aloud. And apparently, this guy's wife is in the background going, "Yes, yes, I know." And so I guess from there, and I'm not there. So from
Right.
there, my sister's invited in. They all, take a moment to just process this information.
Hmm.
And I guess the potential sister had
Hmm.
tried to um, hire someone to do her search for her
Oh, wow.
years ago. And the
Okay.
furthest they got was finding the birth mother's last name,
Oh.
which matched my birth mother's last name.
Oh, okay.
So then her brother and her sister-in-law knew this information.
Yep.
And then my sister and brother-in-law are there too. But yet they're having this meeting without us.
Right. Right.
So,
Well, that's like my sister finding my dad before, like accidentally,
yeah,
yeah, and meeting him before I got to. So I know that feeling like, wait a minute, y'all are making these connections without me.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, it's all works out in the end, but it's just a funny moment. Like, wait a minute, shouldn't I be there?
Right. So I think I know I was working that night. Um, I'll get to that part in a moment, but I guess he said to my sister, well, I believe she's out of the country right now traveling,
Hmm.
but she lives out of town. She lives in New York City.
Okay.
And he said, well, I'll try to give her a call, leave your information with me, and, we'll kind of go from there. So I believe that my phone number was left as well as my sister's,
Okay.
so that this guy standing there with, okay, I think I just met the family
Mm-hmm.
of my sister's.
Sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Now even I'm kind of getting a little confused over the story, but the way that it worked out, he did try to call her,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out that he was misinformed. She was out of the country, I think weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
but she'd already returned back to New York. So he
Mm.
was able to call her and told her, "Hey, listen to
Yeah.
what just happened to me."
Right.
So he's over here having this conversation with her saying, yeah, your biological family is trying to find you.
Mm-hmm.
On my end, I get a phone call from my sister saying, oh my gosh, guess who we just talked to? And to confess where I was at a bar
Okay.
after work. So my coworkers and I just, we got done working, and we went out. And
Mm-hmm.
so she's on the phone saying, I have to talk to you. We're in the parking lot. Come outside. So I went outside. Now, mind you, my sister at the time had two young children, and they were in
Mm-hmm.
the car
Oh, geez.
sleeping.
Okay.
Sleeping.
Oh,
So it's like 10:30 at night. The boys are in the back seat sleeping. My
mhm.
brother-in-law is sitting in the car. So she basically tells me this story and says, yeah, he stood there, just looked so bewildered and had no idea. And then his wife clarified, yes,
Right. Yeah.
yes, this is the information. So I'm very excited at this point, but I was told that if she were in fact out of town, like the brother thought,
Right. Hmm.
that we'd have to wait another couple weeks. Not only out of town, but out of the
Of the
country.
country. Yeah.
So the following day,
Wait. I have to ask though.
yeah,
Didn't anyone gather more information about your sister? Like what she do? Any background? Did
not
they?
to that point yet.
Okay, they were just like going, "Oh, this is the right one," because I
Yeah,
would have been like, "And now 100 questions."
yeah.
But
I think
okay.
everybody was just so anxious to get us connected.
Sure. So like the first job for them was to let you know.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so it was just, okay, this is real. This is this person. This is your
Yeah,
sister.
cool. Cool,
I
cool.
went, oh my gosh. And the fact that we both grew up basically in the same town.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my mind is just racing at this point. So at the next day, um, a, a girlfriend of mine and I, we went out to lunch, and we just kind of rehashed the story from the day
Mm-hmm.
before. And then we came back to my apartment, and my answering machine had a message on it.
Oh, cool.
Oh my
All
gosh.
right.
And so this girl was there for this, and it was very exciting. So of
Yeah.
course I pressed play, and wasn't expecting what I got. It was this voice that said, "Hello, this is," and I won't reveal her name, "your sister."
Mm-hmm.
So just like that. I'm so happy that you reached out, and I hope we get a chance to talk. And I am in New York. Here's my number. Please call me. This is very exciting. All this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I heard that, I mean, I'm jumping up and down, very excited,
Oh, yeah.
just
Yeah.
going, "Oh my gosh!" And she wanted to connect, and I thought, "Oh, this is just the most amazing thing." So my friend said, "You have to call her right now. If you
Yeah.
don't mind," she
Yeah.
said, "whatever plans we had for today, we can just put it on hold." So she
Oh,
stuck
yeah.
around. She stuck around. She wanted to hear everything. So of course I call my sister, and I say, "Hi, it's Mary." So she was at work,
Mm-hmm.
but she had told her coworkers, "Hey, this is what's happening today. So if I'm in the office talking for a while, leave me alone." um,
Funny.
so really, we had a conversation that I believe was about 2 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about our families and the search and how far each of us got. And she confirmed, "Yeah, my family hired someone years ago, but
Wow.
we kind of hit that wall, and that was as far as we got."
Well, because she didn't have a private investigator, basically.
Yeah, it was like, it was
Right.
yeah. And he or she just couldn't get beyond that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and she had had the help of her adopted mother in that search. Um, so we basically hashed out a few details. Of course, I'm asking her how tall she is, and
Mm-hmm.
um, just trying to describe herself and some other things about high school. And did she know a few people that I knew in her graduating class, which it turns out she did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she said, "Well, when can we meet?" Now, mind you, I'm probably about 24, 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I have zero money,
Right.
um, very much struggling in this apartment scenario. And so I'm hoping that she says she's able to come to me,
Mm-hmm.
which she
Mm-hmm.
says she is.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "It's going to be a few weeks, but I can make it back. In the meantime, I'm going to send you some things in the mail, just kind of get the ball rolling here." And that was that. We set the date to meet. She was, and I said to her, "Wait a minute, what's up with you having an expired driver's license?" Um, well, she just never renewed it because, hey, in New York,
In New York, she doesn't need one.
right.
Yeah.
So I said, "Would you get on that, please?" "Oh, I don't like that."
My God.
Get on that. I mean, why?
That's funny.
So before we met, she sent me a packet of things, including a little note saying, I'm so excited about this. And here's some photos." So I get these photos along with the expired driver's license. She sent it to me. I still
Okay.
have it. I still have it.
Oh, that's so funny.
I know. I'm looking at these photos, and she has this mane of very, very tightly curled hair,
Mm-hmm.
and it is bright red.
Oh,
And I'm thinking, is this a natural color?
right, right.
So,
Valid question.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the curls, she did tell me on the phone, yeah, my hair is very curly. She was not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very, very curly. Mine is too, but less tight curl. So I'm looking at that going, okay, well, the hair isn't really matched, but um, I can see a little bit of similarity, but all right, I'm trying to see this or have this moment of, yeah, we look alike. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't having it, but I was still like, oh, she's just so adorable and petite. And,
Mm-hmm.
here's a picture of her in Italy. And here's a headshot where she thought she was wearing too much makeup and she looked gorgeous. And I'm going, yeah, I wear way more makeup than you. So the similarities, I was, kind of searching for that. Didn't really feel it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely going to take being in person, I think, for that to sink in for me. And that would happen shortly. Um, and at this point, we just talked almost daily on the phone,
Oh,
just
neat.
trying to get to know each other a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the same, uh, some of the same mannerisms. We both talk and pause like this. All, yeah. It's just a thing we both do. We both have some of the same taste in music, which was kind of surprising, seeing as there is that age difference. But
Mm-hmm.
um, and
Although
a lot of,
you had older siblings that you grew up with, so maybe
yes,
you absorbed some of their stuff.
yes and no. I would say because one of my siblings is 16 years older, and
Mm.
it was kind of hard to connect on that kind of
Mm-hmm.
level sometimes.
Yeah.
So a little bit of that, but I'd say we both like a lot of the same bands that were not influenced by my older siblings growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of refreshing. It was like, oh, I finally have this connection with this person who knows, about bands like Pavement or the Sex Pistols or, some of this other stuff. That's not all of it that we talked about, but it's like, oh, wow, great. Well, I still had it in my head though that her age was so much older.
Oh.
Yes. When we would meet, I would make a comment, and I'm going to hold off on that. But I thought that age 33 was ancient compared to
Oh God.
young age of 25.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know?
Because you're a 20-year-old.
Yeah,
I won't even say.
I know. It's so now that
Oh.
I'm, closer to 50 now.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, no.
really?
I remember all the drama of turning 30, which is just like ridiculous. Sorry, all you potential 30-year-olds out there. You're punks, okay?
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah.
You talk
So
so much about Mm.
we just spent the next few weeks just connecting over silly things like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and she at the time worked for a nonprofit company, um, in an office, and she had graduated with a degree in journalism in college, and just kind of, you know, working
Hmm.
and traveling, love to travel. So I just found, meeting her was one of the best things that could have ever happened.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's
I
nice.
didn't, I mean, I was connected to my family, but because I grew up with them, but
Mhm.
I never felt the overall sibling type of connection with any of them. I was
Mhm.
very separate interests and things that we could talk about without raising our voices. So, so
Well,
this
there
was,
is that just little magical um, moment when you realize, wow, there's a genetic connection to this person. And that seems to, I don't know. There was a little, like I said, when I met my biological mom, that sort of Wizard of Oz moment where things
Mhm.
went from black and white to color.
Yeah,
It's no, but it has nothing to do with anything that anybody else has ever done in your life. It's just a
absolutely.
thing. It's
Yeah.
just something that happens when you make that connection and you feel connected over time. It sounds like you began to develop that connection
Oh, yeah.
with her. Yeah.
And, we just, it would take a few weeks to really connect in person, but every chance we got, we would just call each other
Oh, that's
and
so
talk about
neat.
something else. And, um,
Yeah.
you know,
And you know what's kind of interesting? I'm just jumping in
no, go
here,
ahead.
is that you both have a shared experience too. You were both adopted.
Hmm.
So it wasn't just, no, I don't mean just, but you know what I mean? There's almost another layer of experience that you two share
Yeah.
that isn't that common, you know?
Right. And,
Right.
not only were we adopted, but we both had an older sibling in the house
Right.
who was also adopted.
Right. Right. So, I mean, that's just really interesting.
Hmm.
All of those different connections and layers of relationships, very unique. Now, I have another question for you.
Okay.
Did you share with her your attempts to connect with the biological mother?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I
Yeah. How'd she take
did.
that?
And she just said, okay, well, I don't find that acceptable.
Okay.
And so she will definitely try to reach out as well.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll probably get into that coming
Sure, sure.
up.
That was just a quick question,
Oh
like,
yeah,
what was her take on it?
but
Now I know.
it's a good question because it kind of also highlights one of my favorite I guess traits of my sister is that she's very no nonsense and
Mm.
she's very driven,
Mm-hmm.
and in every area of her life she's very ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody kind of puts up some sort of an obstacle for her, she will definitely be the first person to try to overcome that obstacle.
Oh, okay.
And I really admire that about her. And she's
I
very
bet you do. Yeah.
strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we did some comparisons with what we knew about the biological mother and ourselves in these phone
Mm-hmm.
conversations. And I would say that since we knew that our birth mother was athletic, and now this sister also very athletic,
Mm-hmm.
there was that tie. And then I said, "Were you by chance, prom queen or anything?" She said, "Oh no, I was never interested in that kind of stuff."
Mm-hmm.
Although she said she still had one of her prom dresses.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
That's funny.
Um, and the fact that our biological mother did some writing, there was the journalism tie there as well.
Oh, right.
Um, and so there were some similarities that we discussed, and we were anxious to talk about feet.
Okay.
Okay. There is a comment in our transcript, I guess, from the doctor and his observations of one of us. Now, the story from earlier that we had was all about my sister. Okay. So we didn't
Right,
know if
right.
this was a new document about me or about her. But one of us apparently was born with clubfoot.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And
So
then surgery or bracing or
I don't know. But I told her, I said, well, to my knowledge, I never had clubfoot, but I did have to wear these inserts in my shoes to correct my
Mm-hmm.
walk a little bit. Um, and to her knowledge, she never had any foot issues. But again, if something like that comes out when you're an infant, sometimes I don't know, does it correct itself or
Well, it depends on the severity, I guess.
maybe it was just
Yeah.
mild. But yeah, so
Hmm.
of course we're like, well, when we meet, we have to take our shoes off
Compare
and
feet.
compare feet. Yeah. And I will say, and I still find this to be true, she is the most hysterical person I've ever met.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, both of us, we address life with a lot of humor and always try to make jokes out of things. And I don't know if, and we seem to have the same sense of humor. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's the only she and I can understand sometimes, or we just start laughing and crack each other up. It's like
Hmm.
having that best friend that just gets you.
Hmm.
So immediately with her, I felt that immediate connection and that immediate, wow, here's someone who finally gets me, even just a little. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much the story of how I found her or how we found her. I
You're
have to give
right.
my
Yeah.
former
Oh
boyfriend
yeah,
a lot of
he
credit.
gets huge props. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that next time we'll discuss the meeting
Yeah,
and
when
how
you
that
finally
came
meet each
about.
other.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So do you have anything that you want to add? We are recording this on Valentine's Day. Anything
Oh.
exciting going on?
I'm just sharing Valentine's Day with my new puppy, Calvin, and I need to pay attention to him soon. But he's been asleep on the couch. He's a sleepy dog. He sleeps a lot.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah,
Hmm.
which makes me think he really is a puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that's it. And I just wanted to throw in, how you shared musical interest with your sister.
Hmm.
That struck a chord. No pun intended.
I like it though.
That when I met my mom and my sister, we talked about different concerts we went to, and boy, there was a lot of shared interest. And it turns out that my mom, I hope I have this right, and my sister went to a U2 concert together, and I was at the same concert. I'm like, maybe it was just my sister.
What?
I'll have to ask her again, but I know there was another concert of this sort of new agey guy that we all went to. We were there and we, just said, I went to this concert. Well, I did too, you know.
Yeah.
So like the potential for us to cross paths was pretty high, um, which I thought was very cool. And my mom had like amazing taste in music.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
Um, can you tell what was her favorite?
Yeah. And Nina Simone. Nina
Oh, nice.
Simone was like up there. Um, More currently, oh, see, now I'm drawing a blank, which is what us old people do.
Sorry, I did put you on the spot.
That's okay. I'm the one who brought it up. Um, but oh my goodness, this is going to kill me. I'll remember it for next time.
Okay.
There is a performer who I cannot believe I can't think of his name, but I met him and I told him about my mother's love of his music. This is after she had passed, and how we had played his music was like on rotation during like the 3 weeks she was in hospice.
Oh,
We had his music playing, and I was able to tell him that, and he just gave me this giant hug. It was Josh Ritter. No, is that right? Yeah, Josh Ritter. Um, that I'm glad I thought of his name. I'm sorry,
I'm not familiar with
listeners.
him.
He's kind of Americana. I hadn't really listened to him that much until my mom told me about him, and I started listening to him, and I just fell in love.
Oh,
He's just got yeah, I love his music. I love his writing. And so when I was able to meet him, that was a highlight for me. So she introduced me to music,
Nice.
which was really fun. Yep.
That's awesome. Well,
Okay.
maybe you should listen to some of Josh Ritter's music today.
Yeah,
There you
that's what
go.
I should do.
There you
That's a
go.
great idea.
Love it.
Oh, all right.
We're having
Yes, that actually
pizza.
makes me very happy because, it's been so freaking cold here. And
Yes.
it's that time of winter where we're all just very blah.
Yeah.
So that will bring my spirits up a lot.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
We're not Valentine people. We're just having pizza and
Good.
just a casual day and just kind of, appreciating each other, I guess.
Well, you guys do a good job of that. I
Try
really,
to.
yeah. You should have a podcast on how to be a good couple because you guys have that down.
Do we?
Yeah.
I'll bring it up to him. Oh, I can't. I should. How to be a good couple?
No, he'd be like, no, no, thank you. But I'm like, if he were willing, then it would ruin things. Forget it. If you start dissecting things too much, no, not good.
Yeah.
No,
I think we'll keep that separate from
absolutely
the relationship. But
well, I admire your relationship. So
thank you. I definitely need to appreciate it even more.
okay.
And I do.
You work on that on this Valentine's Day.
I will. That's
Okay.
my goal. Thanks for listening to us today, guys. Sometimes, we don't get to hang out anymore. So, it's been a long time since we've been able to do that. Almost a year, I think.
Right. Yep.
So when we get together here, we sometimes lose ourselves and just start being us. And so thank you for enduring.
That's what we just did.
Side talk. But getting back to the podcast closing, if you would like to share your story with us, please write to theadoptionsquad@gmail.com and feel free to remain anonymous if you wish. You can also visit our website, theadoptionsquad.com, to connect to our social media pages and our YouTube channel. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and review to help us grow. So until the next time, word to your mothers.
And to your fathers. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's